Hello students, I am Vidya from G.K.Jain school. Now I am going to teach you about parts of skeleton of the human body from class 8. So in this video we are going to see about the parts of skeleton of the human body. This skeleton system, the human body skeleton system has been divided into two parts. One is axial skeleton and another one is a appendicular skeleton. What are the axial skeleton? That means what are the parts lies along the axis of the human body. That means what are the parts located at center line of the human body. Those parts are called as the axial skeleton. Those parts are made up of axial skeleton system. And what are the parts or appendages in the human body? That means the parts which are connected to the central part of the human body, those parts are called as appendicular skeleton. That means those parts are made up of appendicular skeleton. And also not only the appendages, also that part which connect appendages to the central part of the human, that part also called as appendicular skeleton. So first in this video we are going to see about what are the axial skeleton. Here our skull, facial bones, sternum, ribs and vertebral column. That means skull means our head. So our head and face bones, sternum. This sternum bone is located at the breast part, that means in chest region. And ribs means the individual bones which make up the rib cage in the chest region, and vertebral column, that means backbone of the human body. So all those parts are lying in the central part of the human body. So these are the axial skeleton. Okay, so these parts are made up of axial skeleton. And here first one is skull. So skull bone is system is made up of totally 22 bones. The skull system made up of 22 bones. Out of this 22 bones, 7 bones are fixed together and formed as a cranium. And remaining 14 bones are fused together. They are fused to form the facial bones. So out of the 22, 7 bones are formed as a cranium and 14 bones are fused to form as a face. Okay. Then in the skull system, the only bone which has movable joint, that is our lower jaw. So it is the only bone which has movable joint. So this movable joint possible because of the muscles and ligaments. So muscles and ligaments connect our lower jaw to the skull. So because of the movement of the lower jaw only, we can open our mouth to talk and to eat something. So that movement is take place because of the lower jaw. And all other parts in our skull are stable. Only movable joint is the lower jaw. Then here this skull, in the skull we can, that is our head. Okay, so that movement possible, the skull allows the movement in a sideways direction and in a down direction. That means we can bend our head and we can bend our head in the sideways. So that only movement take place in by the skull, sideways and downwards. Then vertebral column, and second one is a vertebral column. So this vertebral column is also called as a spine, and it is also called as a backbone. Since it is present at back of the human body, it is also called as a backbone. It is located in the trunk region. Since it is located in the trunk region, it offers support to the upper part of the body. So our upper part of the body supported by this trunk region, since it consists the backbone. So this backbone are made up of 33 vertebrae. What is mean by vertebrae? Vertebrae means small individual bones. There are 33 small individual vertebrae are connected together by the joint called as gliding. That means one vertebrae, that means one small vertebrae or gliding over the another vertebrae, and on the top of the vertebrae another vertebrae is gliding over. So likewise, because of the gliding joint, these 33 vertebrae are jointed together and formed as a vertebral column. So this vertebral column runs at back of the body, start from the head, our skull, base of the skull, and end with our hip bone. It is end with hip part. In the vertebral, this is what that vertebral column. I draw only the rough diagram of this vertebral column. Here C1 to C2, that means 7 cervical vertebrae. 7 cervical vertebrae are jointed at the back of our neck. So at the back of our neck, which connects our skull to upper part of the body. So that is cervical vertebrae. So there are 7 cervical vertebrae are present at back of the neck, and below that cervical vertebrae 12 thoracic vertebrae are present. That means the thoracic region, our chest bone, the chest part of the body is also called as thoracic region. So what are the vertebrae are present at back of the thoracic region? These vertebrae are called as a thoracic vertebrae. And below that 5 lumbar vertebrae are present. So what are the vertebrae are present at back of the belly? So those vertebrae are called as a lumbar vertebrae. So there are 5 vertebrae are present at back of the belly, and those vertebrae are also called as a lumbar vertebrae. And sacrum vertebrae, 5 vertebrae are fused together and formed as a sacrum. It is present below the lumbar vertebrae, that means hip, below the belly. So these vertebrae are present at back. And last and final one is a coccygeus vertebrae. So these coccygeus vertebrae consists 4 vertebrae. So these 4 vertebrae, they are fused together and formed as a tail of the vertebral column. It is formed as a tail of the vertebral column. It is located at the pelvic girdle. It forms the pelvic girdle. And here this vertebral column have very important role in our body. It offer many benefits to our human body system. See, the first one is protects spinal cord. Here, because of the connection of the vertebrae, it's formed the hollow space inside the vertebral column. So through the hollow space, these spinal cords are passing through that. So this is how the vertebral column protects the spinal cord. And next one is it supports the head. It provides support to the head, and it serves an attachment for the ribs. So as we know already, the ribs are formed as a rib cage. So how it is formed as a rib cage? Because these ribs are connected, they are attached to the backbone, and it provides support to pectoral and pelvic girdle. See, this is the pectoral girdle. So this pectoral girdle having support by the backbone, and also pelvic girdle. This pelvic girdle and pectoral girdles are connected because of the vertebral column. So these vertebral column provide support to the pelvic and pectoral girdle, and it provides movement, help in walking and standing erect with correct posture. So I can stand with the correct posture because of the backbone I have, and also I can walk because of the backbone. So it allows the movement of walking, running, and even standing with correct posture. So all those things are because of the vertebral column we have at back of the body. Okay, the next one is ribcage. It is also one of the axial skeleton system. This ribcage occupies the space in our chest region. So this ribcage consists 12 pairs of ribs. So ribs means the individual bones are called as ribs. There are 12 pairs of ribs which make up rib cage. And here first 7, that means 1 to 7 ribs are called as true ribs. Why these ribs are called as true ribs? Because these ribs are connected to the vertebral column at back and to the sternum at front. So that is why these bones are having attachment at both areas. So that is why these bones are called as true ribs. These ribs are called as true ribs. And 8th to 12 ribs in the rib cage are called as false ribs, because they have attachment at back but they don't have attachment at front, because these ribs are connected directly to the true ribs. So if you see this picture, you can get understand. 11th and 12th, these ribs are called as floating ribs, because they have attachment to the vertebral column, but they don't have attachment to the to the true ribs itself. It's free from front part. It's get free from, there is no attachment at the front part. So that is why these ribs are called as floating ribs. They have only attachment at back. In the front part they don't have any attachment even either to true ribs or sternum. So likewise these ribs are formed as a rib cage, and these rib cage set up in such a way it can get expand and contract while breathing process. Okay students, I hope this video will be very useful to you all. If you want more updates on educational videos like this, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel G.K.Jain. Thank you.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.